Hello televiewers, good evening and welcome to this other edition of Prime on My Media Prime. This evening we are going to be looking at the situation of the suffering population of the Southwest and Northwest regions, asking the question as to how best they could receive assistance. How can we help them so that they get out of their current impasse situation, and also what steps to take to give them hope, all of us, to give us hope to dream again, and for a possibility for things to turn back to normalcy. We also are going to be asking the question as to whether COVID-19 vaccine should be made obligatory in Cameroon, and how should that be done. We discuss these two topics with panelists who are already seated out here in our studios at Fengudrombange, Douala, Cameroon's economic capital. We are welcoming our consultant, Apostle Ambe, Valentine Ngwa, who is seated already. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Good evening, my co-panelists. Good evening, Cameroonians and viewers of Prime Hour. We are here again today to help educate Cameroonians, Africa, and the world. And we trust God, by His grace, we're going to give you very vital information. May God pass through each of us to give very possible solutions that will bring this dilemma to an end.
Okay.
Thank you.
We also in the company of Senior Barrister Ashu Emmanuel. He is the National President of the Reform Party. Senior Barrister, we're glad to have you.
Thank you, Mr. Leo. Good evening. Good evening, fellow panelists. Good evening, televiewers. Pleasure being with you again today.
You've been away for some time. You traveled out of the country?
Well, I can only come here if you invite me. If you don't invite me, don't expect to see me. I cannot crash land into your program.
We are glad to have you this evening with us. We also are in the company of Dr. Michael Ndimancho, who is a member of the civil society. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Leo, and good evening to Senior Barrister and Apostle Ambe, who've already introduced themselves. It's a pleasure to be here once more and to be able to share in the sufferings of the people of the Northwest and Southwest region especially, and to share in the sufferings of the world as regards the COVID-19 pandemic.
Doctor, you forgot the lone lady in the house.
Of course, because you have not introduced her. So I didn't want to introduce her for you. Yes.
Okay, we are also in the company of Marcelle Yembe. She is representing the CPRN, party of Honorable Cabral Libi. Bonsoir et bienvenue.
Bonsoir monsieur, bonsoir à mes copanélistes, bonsoir à vos nombreux téléspectateurs, bonsoir à vos techniciens qui s'activent pour que l'émission ait lieu. Permettez-moi de dire bonsoir à mon président honorable Cabral Libi, qui a fêté son anniversaire il y a 2 jours et qui a reçu comme cadeau de ses camarades du parti, dont le secrétaire général Massardine et un autre camarade du parti du bureau politique, un cadeau qui contenait 110 comités d'arrondissement et sous-comités d'arrondissement.
Okay. I'll start with you, Senior Barrister. Let me start with you. You are the eldest amongst us here. The situation out there in the Southwest and Northwest regions, it's true that some areas things are getting better, but also disturbing at some different quarters. But globally speaking, what, according to you, is the best way to get their situations fixed?
Thank you, Mr. Leo. I think the best thing for anyone to do, if we want to bring a solution to this nightmare, is to bring the war to an end. Where I don't think of any solution that can be brought to a war zone if the war is not brought to an end. Well, that said, we can now start thinking of either first aid or cosmetic measures. Because if we want to talk of cosmetic measures, then you start thinking of sharing of mattresses and zinc and all those type of things. Construction material without even knowing who will go to construct, because when the bullets are flying, I don't see any carpenter who will stand outside there to construct. Then you have, voluntary agencies that come to give food and all that. But I think the best solution is to bring an end to the conflict. Let the powers that be see to it that this conflict comes to an end and that peace returns. It's a political crisis. I don't expect any person to bring a military solution to it, because for all intents and purposes, when you look at it, it looks as if some people in power want to have a military victory. But I think such a victory cannot be possible under these present circumstances, where we are seeing more and more sophisticated weapons being displayed on either side. So it's nice that both parties, or all the parties concerned, should sit on the table and negotiate this matter so that war is brought to an end.
Yeah, but while this process is ongoing, because the call for persons to sit on the table has been ongoing forever, 2017, 2018, 2019. These calls are still coming up.
Thank you.
You now. Yeah, but how do the people survive? Do you allow them?
You see, when you say it calls for people to sit on the table, that one too is interpreted in various means. On the side of the government, they want everybody to come and sit on one table and they say major national dialogue. That is not what we're talking about. We're talking about the people concerned by the conflict. Don't go and carry somebody from Garwa Bulai who has nothing to do with the conflict. Come and put there. Now today we know what the problem is. There is no more room for any person to play hikey-panky. Let's face the facts and go to the root causes and solve this matter. We know what it is. A state has been swallowed up, vomited, put it on the table. Let us talk business.
Okay. Apostle Ambe, Valentine, Ngwa, what is the best option available now for the people? Because he's raising the issue to be solved from the political perspective, but there are certain things that needs to be done to alleviate the suffering condition of the people.
Yeah, Mr. Leo, permit me appreciate Brother Eb is a boat who lives in Norway that sent me some money to care for the IDPs. God bless you for that gesture. I said I should appreciate you publicly. And now getting to your question, Mr. Leo, from experiences we've gathered as far as wars are concerned, in different parts of the world, no war has ceased immediately. A war is like a building, and every building has a process. We have to start engaging processes before we get to the conclusive stage of any war. That is the reason why, as far as the Anglophone crisis is concerned, we cannot just from nowhere call an immediate ceasefire. There are procedures we can put in place that can start solving the problem gradually. We have pressing issues that are available right now, which we need to attend to. If we have to wait for a dialogue to come, we have to wait for a ceasefire, and then people may die in the situation. So I think we should think of what has been happening in other situations. Yes. Now let us bring in emergency solutions before we can be able to get a permanent solution. Because when an accident occurs, you don't get a doctor within the period. You can get a first aid that can be able to solve or even preserve lives before a doctor comes in. We are at an emergency hour. We are at a rush hour right now as far as the war is concerned. A lot of things have been hampered. It is a political crisis, but it's no longer political damages in place. We have economic damages, we have educational damages, we have health damages. So should we wait till the cost, which is immediate, the political is settled before we can be able to take care of the other casualties like educational, economic, and otherwise? No. To me, from experience that we've gathered in other resolutions when it comes to war, I think the first thing we have to do right now for those who are dispersed and frustrated, who don't know where to go, they should create buffer zones. Buffer zones where they can be able to accommodate the dispersed population. At that time, you can be able to start convincing people, because you cannot convince a dispersed people. You can have the opportunity to talk to a people when you gather them at a particular place, because we need mind reformation. And this mind reformation cannot be achieved merely by talking on air. Some persons don't watch televisions. Others don't go through social media. So why don't we create buffer zones so we can be able to gather at least 1,000 persons? If we are able to start not just feeding them or caring for them, we should start rearranging their faculties.
Yeah, when we talk of buffer zone, what are we talking about? That is building very large structures that can accommodate
people,
many persons, at least provide them with shelter.
Shelter for now, and that shelter goes along with feeding. It goes along with health, because nurses and doctors could be sent there to take care of the people. And then also now reorientation, because some people's mind have been corrupted. by virtue of what they are going through. Most people are into the crisis, they don't know the truth. Many are into it because somebody told them that this happened. Somebody has to sit them down and be able to reconfigure their faculties again. And I think the buffer zones are very important because it will give us the opportunity to know the situations of the people one-on-one. We cannot sit on television, sit in our big offices in Yaoundé and other parts of the nation and assume, because we cannot solve crisis through assumption. A lot of assumption is taking place in the country. But with these buffer zones, you meet people one-on-one, you know their feelings. Just like the DDR Center was created, you could get from the boys, hear their feelings, hear their thoughts. Now, if we create these buffer zones, we can be able to assemble people and then know what they are going through, know their feelings. Then they can even equally help to reach out to other persons who are far away. So that is the first thing I think we should do. Create buffer zones. Number two, there are many persons. A hungry man is an angry man. There are a lot of reasons are not just the immediate reason that caused the war that is influencing people to act the way they are acting right now. A lot of reasons have come up. Some out of hunger, other things have been born. Some out of sickness, some out of lack of education, some out of losing their properties. If we are able to bring them to a particular position and promises are being made and even small practical steps are taken to resolve the crisis, the people will start seeing a glimpse of hope, a glimpse of the glory that is being restored. But when people are dispersed, there is no way you can be able to communicate the intention or the purpose of what you want to achieve.
Ok, Marcelle Yembe, j'espère que tu tiens la page. Qu'est-ce qu'il faut faire d'après vous pour alléger la souffrance des populations du sud-est et du nord-ouest?
Qu'est-ce qu'il faut faire pour alléger la souffrance
Oui.
des populations du sud-est et du nord-ouest? Je vais tout de suite dire que il y a eu à un moment donné un grand dialogue qui avait été demandé. Les gens se sont assis pour discuter et des résolutions sont sorties de ce grand dialogue. Et on avait parlé du statut spécial des deux régions, du nord-ouest et du sud-ouest. Alors, il faudrait que ce statut spécial, qu'on laisse la chance à ce statut spécial d'être installé pour que ceux qui sont des problèmes de résoudre les problèmes des populations fassent leur travail. Donc pour que ce soit résolu, il faut, puisque le conflit a fait en sorte que l'économie même soit à terre avec tout ce qu'il y a comme il y a eu comme ville morte, comme éducation qui avait été arrêtée et tout. Donc les gens, il faut à un moment donné que on mette des spécialistes pour encadrer ceux qui ont subi cette guerre parce que ils sont déjà formatés. Il faut les encadrer. Il faut passer des besoins primaires qu'on assiste actuellement à parce que actuellement on ne leur donne que des besoins primaires qui sont par exemple la nourriture, des soins de santé primaires. Il faudrait qu'on construise véritablement ces zones de crise et que ceux qui ont pris les armes contre la nation puissent les déposer tout autour d'une table, quoi. Il faudrait qu'il y ait une table de négociation pour que les gens s'entendent sur un certain nombre de points parce que on sait quand même que il y a c'est parti des revendications corporatistes et du coup c'est devenu ça a mué en revendications sécessionnistes. Donc il y a des gens qui veulent de la sécession, il y a ceux qui veulent que les choses aillent bien. Donc pour que on allège les populations qui souffrent énormément par rapport à cette guerre, surtout les femmes, les enfants et les vieilles personnes, il va falloir que la solution soit politique, que les gens s'asseyent, discutent et trouvent des solutions pour tous ces gens qui souffrent. Là, on parle de près de 160 000 déplacés internes avec des déplacés au niveau du Nigeria qui sont près de 20 000. Beaucoup de gens sont déjà tombés et on a perdu beaucoup d'enfants. Des gens sont amputés et tout. Il va falloir que chacun taise son ego et puis que les gens s'asseyent autour d'une table. Une solution militaire peut-être, mais bon, juste pour encadrer les populations.
Okay. Dr. Michael Ndimancho, you listened to what the other panelists are saying. should focus be placed as we speak, given the dire situation in which persons are found in the southwest and northwest regions? If you were to advise that, okay, let us focus first on this, where should that be?
I think the focus should be first on children and women.
Okay.
For those who have studied war situations, and you go starting from Syria, where today people are crying, about 11 million people are displaced. Yemen, about 24 million people displaced, and they are in dire need of humanitarian crisis. You go to Afghanistan, to South Sudan, to DRC, to Libya, then you will understand exactly what people are going through. There's a picture that is trending on social media of a little girl who mistook a journalist camera for a gun, and she raised up her hands in surrender. It's a picture actually that created a lot of impression in me about how little children have come to be, to their psychology as far as the war in Syria is concerned. And that is why when I look at the situation in Cameroon, like in the northwest and southwest region, in 2018, when the government launched the emergency response plan, they had about $93 million for the reconstruction of the northwest and southwest regions, and subsequently, people were appointed for reconstruction. I am thinking of Minister Portazo and Miyonjong. And the major question I ask myself is, how can you reconstruct a zone that has been utterly shattered and where there is still a lot of insecurity? We are all aware of the fact that there are most of these boys in the bushes, the Ambe boys, who do not want to see any humanitarian vehicle carrying food or non-food items across the region. And we are asking ourselves, what is their motive behind? Because we see women in dire need of humanitarian assistance. They need water, they need health care, and above all, they need security. You realize that in 2018, we are talking about 164,000 people, and that is what the plan that Cameroon had. In 2019, we had about 444,000 people that we were thinking could be taken care of. In 2020, we went out to about 820,000 people that need to be taken care of. And now we realize that the emergency plan that we had in 2018 now doesn't make any sense in 2021. What are we going to do? Because today, when we have about 3,700 children who are malnourished, we have about 80% of boys and girls in the northwest and southwest region who do not have access to education. And we are asking, what is the government standing to do? The first thing that we have to advise the government to do is to seek for ways to silence the sound of the gun, because that has traumatized people. People cannot go about their daily duties because of the sound of the gun. Secondly, let people have access to food. Let people have access to basic necessity.
Yeah, but let me cue somewhere. What if the military is somewhere and they attacked? What do they do? Like what happened in Muya today? Wouldn't they respond?
The issue is there is what we call provocation. Just by the mere fact, the mere presence of the military, there is already that provocation. Now, I would like to bring you to this fact.
No, let's talk of Muya. It is the Muya police station that has been existing there that is attacked. What is the provocation?
Why are people attacking? They are attacking because they know that they are a threat to them. Remember that this is a war of legitimacy. Whereby each person wants to sound right in the eyes of the international community. Each person wants to override the other person. It's now a war between, the Ambe boys. They think that their defeat and your independence will come through the defeat of the military.
Are you saying that the presence of a police station in Muya is a threat?
Of course, it is supposed to be a threat to them, because the police station is there, and who is it harboring? It's harboring security forces. And every security force in the northwest and southwest region is a threat to the Ambe boys. And therefore, they shouldn't drink tea with them. They shouldn't take lunch with them. They are looked upon as enemies. And therefore, when there is an enemy, where an enemy is hiding, they are at the watch out.
No,
just as the military and the security officers themselves are hunting for the Amber boys to be able to destroy them.
Yeah, because you said the government should stop the guns from smoking. But today, if there is an attack, should they not respond?
The issue is, we have been talking about these things because the manner in which the military has actually been, has spread around the northwest and southwest region. Let me take you back to 2019, whereby the military went to Shison Hospital. That was on the 17th of February 2019. The military went to Shison Hospital because they thought the hospital was treating the Amber boys. You already see the kind of the Amber boys themselves will not find the presence of the military funny. You will not find the presence of the military as a friend. And therefore, one of the best things that they want to do is they want to quench everything that is on military and everything that has military.
Mr. Ngwa, welcome. If we say we want to alleviate the suffering situation of the people, should we not spare civilian settlement from this combat? Is that not the number one cause of bringing the fight? How do you bring fight to in the midst of civilians?
Yeah, good evening, Leo. Good evening, my entire co-panelist. Good evening, the head of state, President Paul Biya, whom I think he is the number one citizen, and we're talking about citizens here where he has been mandated to ensure the total well-being of Cameroonians, irrespective of rank, religious group, and clan, regions, and the crisis in particular, as Leo just mentioned. So far, I think we are not in war. We are not in war. Regarding the civilians, if actually there was war, I think nobody is supposed to have been living within the northwest and southwest regions. It's true that there is an internal conflict crisis which the southern Cameroonians are clamoring for marginalizations of certain rights which they deem they are not actually being treated as
Mr. Mungwa,
true
that's not my
Cameroonians.
question now.
Come up again.
Mr. Mungwa, that's not my question to you. My question is, we are looking at how to better the suffering situation of the population of the southwest and northwest regions. We know that when there is a fight between the military and Amber boys within civilian settlement, the civilians pay the biggest price, because when one attacks the other come for either a punitive mission. My question to you is, why not take these fightings out of civilian settlement?
Yeah, it's true that when two elephants fight, it's the grass that suffers. The common man actually is the civilian at this juncture. And I think I did mention on this same platform, there's high time, there's need for ceasefire. Why are we fighting for? That is the question, first of all. When we actually look at the root causes, if we are honest, we look into the root causes, what we're fighting for. I don't see, honestly speaking, we are supposed to have looked for a true inclusive dialogue to end what we keep talking about fighting for the past 4 years.
Okay. We need a true inclusive dialogue. That is what we are saying, which means that if I go by you, something should be done beyond the major national dialogue.
something's supposed to be done. I said this, and I'm still saying this on this platform.
Is that what are you people discussing that within the ranks of the CPDM? Are you discussing that with some party comrades?
Yes, I've got talks with some party comrades and hierarchies as well, and actually concrete measures are being taken to see into total ceasefire in order to revamp the economy in the two regions and make sure life gain back its normalcy, and let the population feel as part of Cameroon, which is one and indivisible nation.
Okay, Senior Barrister Ashu Emmanuel, but you say the way, the sure way of sorting this out is to end the conflict politically. But when you look at the situation of children who have not been to school for 4 years, don't you think that something should be done at that level, at least for the sake of the children on both sides, to permit children to go to school? Because when a child cannot go to school, psychologically, the parents are tortured. It adds to their suffering. Why can both sides, okay, the government says we want schools, the other side says gods are flying, so schools should not go. Why, for the sake of the children, not allow the children to go to school?
Well, I don't know to who your question is being asked, because
to you.
To me. Thank you. Because if you look at the government side, they want to maintain their authority, and a way for them to maintain the authority is to ensure that the military presence is there and things are done their own way. Now the restoration forces say no, we don't want intruders into our land, we don't want invaders, let them get out, we have to take control of our land. So how do you think schools can resume or can function normally in that type of atmosphere where there are guns on either side, on both sides, and bullets are flying in the air? We don't count how many times children go to school, and because of a gun battle, they all rush back to their homes. Remember what happened in Ambe? In Ambe, when children ran out of their houses, we don't know whether it was a tire that exploded or what, but it was reported to have been a gun battle. It went right up to Yembe. That's
a picture as you're painting. The question now is to both sides that are in the conflict. How do we better the situation? That is, what we are painting is what is on ground. How do both sides understand the need for children to go to school?
Thank you. They understand the need for children to go to school, but they want to maintain the status quo, hoping that military victory can give them come their way, which is not possible, because with what we are seeing, if there is no negotiated settlement, there will be no peace in southern Cameroon. There's no way, because as the days go by, the Ambe boys get better equipped, and the military also gets better equipped, and we are only heading for further calamity. So I think that there is no need for us to try to build better schools when we know that bombs will bring them down. There's no need. Let us sit on the table and come to terms with ourselves, and when there is a solution, we can now think of redeveloping our schools.
So schools should not go? Going by what you're saying?
Well, you have, from all what we have seen for the past past 4 years, in some towns, children manage to go to schools, but in others, there is no school. We have seen all that. You see, you cannot, in those areas where there is no school, there is no way under the sun you can go put a school there. Because of the war, there is no way. So you see, I don't understand why people know what the problem is, but they don't want to address it.
Yeah, but let
us address the problem. Somebody said here we should look at the root causes. Yes, I said earlier, a state was swallowed. Put it back on the table.
Yeah, but put
it on the table. Let's discuss it.
Yeah, you are looking at it from the political
I'm a politician.
Yes,
that's the only way I have. We have to look at it at a political angle, because it is a political problem.
This is a political problem, but
it is not a social problem like somebody was trying. It's a political problem.
Why looking for a solution politically? Should the children stay at home?
In those areas where there is war, they have no choice. In the war zone, the children have no choice.
Yeah, but in Afghanistan there was wars. Children never stopped going to school. In Palestine and other places, children never stopped.
Mr. Liu,
yes.
In all objectivity, where the war is raging, children can only get out of there to manage to feed themselves somewhere else.
In
They
Douala.
cannot go.
In Douala and Yaoundé.
Yeah, we receive them here now.
Yeah, but you think that children need to pay for 4 years, pay this price?
Mr. Leo, when we talk about children paying the price, what category of children are paying the price?
Of the poor.
If the children of the poor, I'm telling you that there are some persons who are even fighting whose children have been relocated either to another country or to this country and they are going to school. And it's so bad that it is the innocent poor person that cannot relocate the child either out of that zone or out of the country who is suffering this shock. We have to be very sincere. And I can tell you with all sincerity that the greater population of the persons in the southern Cameroons who have their little opportunity, I'm talking like somebody who owns a school, many people who have not even financially viable, they have sold all they have to relocate their children. It is not just the poor, the extreme poor people. Not just the poor, we're talking about extreme because poverty is in ranks. The extreme poor people are the persons whose children have not been able to go to school. Now, why will a law come or a principle be applied in a war that affects a handful of people who do not even have a means of survival? Are they telling us that the society is made for the rich? Doesn't the poor man have a place in the society? Are they giving us an impression that poverty has now become a crime to the extent whereby children cannot even go to school anymore? Because some parents' children go to school for PTA. PTA is 2,500 francs. Nobody can relocate the child to another environment where school fees is 30,000 francs. So most of them had the opportunity to go to school. Most of us went to government primary schools in those days because our parents were not financially viable. Which means if we were to be in this time, in that period, we would have been caught up by the same dilemma. Why would this particular principle affect only the extremely poor persons? That's what we are talking about. So if we want to come on a common ground to consider that education should be given priority, because we are talking about a war that sparked as a result of a political reason, but it has provoked many other casualties. Economic reasons, social reasons, health reasons have been born out of this. Now we are talking about specifically the social aspect, which is education. What do we do? To me, I know this is not part of the Geneva Convention, but to a common man that reasons very well, there are strategic places that we should not confront during war. Schools should not be confronted, churches should not be confronted, hospitals should not be confronted. If we respect this modus operandis, then I'm very, very convinced that we can allow school go. Both the military and the civil and the Ambe guys should be sane enough not to walk within this period, within this area. But it is so bad that when children attempted to go to school, we saw what happened in Kumba. That phobia, that thoughts, that fear is in the heart of everybody, because we thought that school could resume and then they will be very sane enough not to attack such areas, but they gave us the wrong impression. We don't know in between the military and the Ambe who attacked the school in Kumba. Until date, children have died. Now, who is not afraid? Those who have their money, we are talking about elites in the northwest and the southwest who have their money, they are flown their children out of the country. Why somebody's child is somewhere around Bobakundu for 6 years, for 5 years, I've not gone to school. Another person's child is graduating somewhere, both from secondary, primary, and university level. How do you explain that a law is being enacted that gives others privilege and others are suffering casualties? I think that we should come on a common ground to see that everybody is even given the right to go to school. That is what the both parties who are at conflict should decide before damages, the casualties will be uncontrollable. That is what I think, that these two parties in question, both the Ambe and the military, should come on a common ground that schools should not be attacked and children or students should not be confronted. Teachers should not be kidnapped, because one of the things also that has threatened school is that the teachers who go to teach the children are also afraid. How do you leave a class and you're coming back, you are being kidnapped for teaching people?
For educating people.
Educating people. It becomes another crime. So the teachers and the students are all afraid. Now, let us get out of this, because if you talk, there was apartheid in South Africa, schools were going on. Yemen, Syria, Palestine, schools are going on. There were crises in Colombia, schools were going on. How do we retard people economically, retard them mentally, retard them health-wise, retard them spiritual, I mean otherwise, and then we expect to use those persons tomorrow to build an economy we are envisaging. It's not possible. I will preach back to school. I will preach measures for schools to resume on this platform till eternity. No matter who is not comfortable with this, I cannot allow us to trade children's education for our own personal interest when we have already gotten our own degrees.
Now we've lived our lives, and then our children have to pay the price. Mais now, est-ce qu'il ne faut pas aussi mettre l'accent sur la santé, surtout dans les zones où les structures médicales ont été touchées? Est-ce qu'il ne faut pas aussi toucher ce côté-là?
Bien sûr, bien évidemment qu'il faut toucher ces côtés. Il faut mettre l'accent sur la santé, il faut mettre l'accent sur l'éducation. Parce que même en temps de guerre, il y a quand même des structures qu'on ne détruit pas. Il y a l'éducation qui ne devrait pas être détruite, il y a la santé qui ne devrait pas être détruite. Donc quand des gens se lèvent, brûlent les écoles, brûlent les centres de santé, c'est qu'ils ont perdu toute humanité. Alors, il faut bien évidemment mettre un accent sur les structures de santé et même permettre que les militaires, je pense, gardent ces structures de santé. Parce que lorsqu'on est malade, lorsqu'on est blessé, lorsqu'on est malade, lorsqu'on a des problèmes de santé, bien évidemment, il faudrait se rendre dans un centre de santé. On a souvent on a vu des femmes enceintes être bloquées parce que on a détruit le centre de santé. On a fait en sorte que les infirmiers et les médecins fuient ces centres de santé. On a vu des enfants. Donc dans ce conflit-là, généralement, c'est des femmes et des enfants et les vieilles personnes qui sont très très touchées. Donc moi je pense, nous au PCRN, nous mettons l'humain au centre de toute préoccupation, ce qui fait que on prie vraiment tous les belligérants, surtout ceux qui attaquent les centres de santé et les écoles, d'essayer de voir comment ne plus attaquer ces centres, parce que quand vous attaquez l'éducation, et comment espérez-vous que dans 10 ans, ces enfants qui sont privés d'école puissent participer au développement de la zone? Ce n'est pas possible. Et entre-temps aussi, on a d'autres enfants qui quittent ces zones, dont les parents sont nantis, qui quittent ces zones pour aller s'installer dans d'autres zones de confort pour aller à l'école. On voit aussi ceux qui sont autour de cette guerre, les enfants graduates, comme on dit en anglais, dans ces écoles où ils sont. Donc, il y a des centres de santé, il y a l'école, il faut mettre un accent, et même s'il faut que les militaires gardent ces endroits-là, il faudra le faire.
Okay, now I want us to stay with education, given that we are looking at how best we can assist the people. Many persons, though he says, Apostle says that those who have the possibility can come to Bafoussam, to Douala. You go to Suzambanga, all of them are there, and other places they live in very difficult conditions. Was it not also possible to come to the assistance of these children who are willing to go to school, who have taken that choice to move? That is a policy where they facilitate these children to go to school. That is the government either subsidize for private schools. Those children who want to go to school, even for government schools, why not make it free for those who are moving this way, to encourage everybody to go to school?
Yes, that is what we are advocating for. But then we have a lot of issues along the line, because you realize that at the beginning of the school year, there was a report in Kumbu whereby some people said the military were preventing children and students from going to private schools. They wanted the government schools to be filled first. And then we started asking ourselves, what is the priority of school? I mean, are we content that the students go and learn, or we want them to go to particular schools? And of course, we condemn it vehemently, because we've said that, and I repeat, schools are temples of learning. And of course, when a school is touched, it is everybody in the world that rises up to condemn. That is a fact. And we think that it should be condemned, and condemned totally. Now, but I realize that these boys are taking the rhythm. Now I now understand why some people call them terrorists, because they are taking the habit of Boko Haram. You know, Boko Haram is totally against Western education. And now see why some people call them terrorists. Because in this perspective, they are totally terrorists. Because you cannot refuse people in the 21st century where everybody wants to learn technology. Or of course, we are no more at the level of reading to write or knowing how to read and write. We are now at the level of technology where students are eager. You know, the world is changing fast because the anxiety, the zest of students. They want to change the world at the click of the mouse. And then you are stopping them from going to school. I mean, this doesn't make any sense. And that is why these boys have lost a lot of support from, quarters, from internationally. They have lost a lot of support. Because how do we explain that you send videos or audios using English language, you don't even use your own mother tongue? This is already a fact that if you didn't go to school, you will not be able to communicate as they keep on sending audios and videos and communicating what they are communicating. They won't have been able to. So why are they stopping? Why are they refusing other children from having the same advantage that they themselves had? So I think something should be done. And I understand, in another sense, for them it's like a joker card. Because if school is going on, school is one of those things that animates a country. Because if schools are going on in North and South region, you will not feel that anything is happening because the student will be animated and life will be going on. So probably the boys think that this is the only thing they can hang on.
Yeah, but do we hang on children for 10 years?
Of course, if it is, and that is, we are trying to condemn, but we are saying and giving a fact that this is why they are hanging on, because they do not want the school to come on. Because the school come on, life will come back to normal, and they will think that they are losing when they keep on talking about winning fadly. We don't know what they are winning fadly. Up to today, 4 years down the line, they are winning fadly every day, and we are still seeing that they are dying every day, and many of them are surrendering every day, but they are still winning fadly. So I think there is a way we have to change this dynamic. They have to change the system, because if something goes for 1, 2, 3 years and it doesn't produce the necessary result that you expect, I think that you should change your method. Their method now should be changed. Exceptionally, they could stand up and stand tall and shine and say, today we are announcing that schools should start. I think that they would have won their war by announcing that school should start. That will give them a lot of credibility at the level of international community. And I'm sure that many people are already putting down their support for them because of all this. They started the issue of community schools, and they said they want to introduce their own schools in the community. Where do you take the teachers to teach them? Or they want to teach them the war tactics? These are some of the questions we are asking them. They should be very, very careful about the kind of tactics that they are trying to use on the children. They will not teach the school. Where are they going to take the teachers and instructors to take the children in their community schools? I think we should be very, very serious about this. And we are asking these boys that it is too much. They should stop their nonsense. They should really stop it.
Michael, now they should teach you what tactics. Please. Okay. Now, we are talking about the situation. The economy in these two regions is devastated. It was declared as an economic disaster zone by the Prime Minister. Some companies that are existing in these areas find it very difficult to survive. Do you think that government should also put in place a mechanism, a package? Why not bail out some of them so that they can survive and see how they can survive till the end of the war so that they can bounce back? Don't you think that something should be done in that direction?
Yeah, already you did mention the government measures, precisely the head of government, Excellency John Gute. I think he already denounced an exoneration for these two regions, meaning they are exonerated from taxes till further notice. That's one of the governmental measures which were taken in consideration, that this is these are war zones which the economy is not actually fluent. It affects not only the common people on the ground. Though, as I'm talking here, I want to make it very clear, if some of these separatist fighters are listening again, I was one of those who actually called them while I was sitting at the DRC chairman's office in Yaoundé, appealing to them when there was this rampant adoption of university students of Bamenda and the lecturers. I called and I told them, please do all make sure you don't adopt lecturers, students, allow schools to go on. If they are listening, they will testify.
Maybe that's why you were kidnapping.
Well, so far, they were I was kidnapped not actually for that purpose, because so far I went further to understand my adoption, because if you look internally, these separatist fighters, they are not even in good terms. There's a lot of conflict amongst them, and all of this is being masterminded by the diaspora leaders. And these diaspora leaders, I'm calling on you people, honestly speaking, if you think you have a genuine fight, a genuine cause, then you should be able to be on the ground, confront the situation, rather than sitting at distance and manipulating the innocent one. I was adopted, I was at the camp for almost a week. I lost appetite, I couldn't eat. And I saw how these guys were miserable. They couldn't feed, they had nothing to feed themselves on. I had to support their feeding. Honestly,
while in captivity?
Yes, while in captivity.
So you were taken with money?
Yes, of course. I had my little wallet. I was taken at the council office, which I was trying to get some PNDP documents to make sure roads are being approved by UNDP and get voted into 2021 budget plan. And that's why they took me. I mean, irrespective of party schedule or whatsoever, at this juncture, we think a road, everybody is free to use a road, irrespective of his party umbrella. So, honestly speaking, the crisis we're talking, it affects the total economy, not only a common man on the ground.
When we talk of the economy of the Southwest and Northwest regions, principally the Southwest regions, we talk about CDC that contributes. CDC and Pamolda contribute heavily to so should something not be done also for these two giant agro companies?
You've forgotten Sonora.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Leo. I think CDC is not just a giant agro-industrial concern, but it was the second employer after the state. So there were so many people who were being employed by CDC. Now with CDC down, should more money be pumped into CDC? What brought I mean, before you think of pumping money into it, let's look at the reason why it went down. CDC went down because the fighters entered the plantations and said, we don't want any work here. We don't want any exploiters to carry our produce. They attack vehicles, attack workers, get some hands off and all that. Now, if you put more money, are you sure production will resume? I would advocate that more money be pumped into Sonora, the refinery, because there at least some measure of security can be ensured. And we can be sure that production, if it resumes, can be safeguarded for some time. But I would not advise that money be put into plantations that we cannot control, because the vastness of these CDC plantations does not guarantee any army to put. I don't know whether you can surround all those plantations with soldiers so that the Amber boys don't enter. CDC plantations, palm plantations, that is not possible. I think we should look for other means of supporting the civilian population. Let us leave the plantations. They are not workable now, because even if you send workers to go and work, are you sure at night people will not come and clear down the produce? They can cut down everything at night. I mean, there's so many means of disrupting the production. So we have seen that production is not possible during war time. Let us look for alternative means. Maybe in the towns where there is some small business, well, give some small loans to some people to start up some fine profitable business that can help the population. But going back to what we have seen as a failure at this time like this, I don't think it can help. Those plantations should not receive more money so long as that this war is not over. Because if you put more money there, you will just be putting it down the drain.
Yeah, but these are corporations that employ thousands of Cameroonians who have been rendered jobless today.
I agree.
Yes, but in line with what Apostle was saying, don't you think that for the sake of survival, because these companies are being destroyed, eh?
So how do you expect CDC to survive if you will not be able to, one, produce banana, produce palm oil, produce tea and rubber? How? I mean, okay, the rubber is there, it has not been cut down. What is stopping them from selling the rubber? So you go and put more money there. You are just wasting time. They should solve the crisis first, because if you don't solve the crisis, I don't see how you carry this produce out.
Okay.
I don't see.
Yes, somebody has a question for you, Barrister Ashu. Mr. Leo, can you ask Barrister Ashu that, is he saying that so long as the war is not solved, nothing should move in the southwest and northwest regions?
That is not just what I said. Finances should be put in other sectors that are not directly affected by the war.
Okay.
Not into the agro industries which cannot function with the war. That's what I said.
Okay, like Sonara.
Sonara, yes. I said Sonara is the place where they can put money. Let them revamp Sonara because it can produce and it can be secured.
Okay, we see the pictures behind us are completely burnt down, certainly because of the fighting. If we truly love the people we claim to be fighting for, be it on the side of the military or Ambe boys, should we not also spare our mothers and fathers, knowing fully whether if we bring the fight within living quarters, they are going to pay a very heavy price, even if we were to go by the Geneva Conventions. These places and positions, not to even talk about schools, hospitals, are supposed to be spared.
Yes, Mr. Liu, you see, the strategy of burning down houses during war is a French approach.
Okay.
Introduced in sub-Saharan Africa.
By this in France?
That what?
Algeria.
Do we find this in France?
Algeria.
Huh? That's what I'm telling you now. I say it's a French approach introduced in sub-Saharan Africa. That is the way they punish their victims. That is the way they punish a people. Burning down of houses is the strategy of the French government, and it has imparted that rubbish into most of its colonies. And once the military of that particular colony is trained, because most of our generals here go for special trainings in France, they go and copy these nasty things and bring back to the country. Once they come back to the country and something occurs, in most African countries led formerly by the French, burning down of houses is a paramount or primordial strategy through which they use to humiliate and suffer victims of war. Burning down houses, how does that solve any problem? I'm still to find out. Because a house is burnt down, somebody escapes out of the house and becomes an added criminal to already existing number of criminals. Probably if somebody was sheltered somewhere, they will not see the need to pick gun. Chinua Achebe said, a man whose house is on fire does not go about chasing rats. If you burn down their houses, then they will be looking for a means to quench down the fire. And the way to quench down the fire is to retaliate. So you have increased the number of soldiers in the bushes. You've increased those who have carried guns by burning their shelter, which is not a means and a way to solve problems. This Anglophone crisis is equivalent to the biochemical war of COVID-19 in America. When the COVID-19 came in America, the government brought out almost about $3 trillion as stimulus to sustain small and medium-sized enterprises and families. What budget has been set aside to sustain the little businesses that run within this sector?
That's the question I asked Senior Barrister.
Yes. What stimulus were set aside during the biochemical war of COVID-19 in America to sustain small and medium-sized enterprises? What budget has been set aside so far to those who are still existing?
Those
in those
business
regions?
guys, yeah.
To
survive,
on.
yeah.
And if somebody's business, I told somebody that we should stop organizing conflict management conferences. We should stop organizing peace conferences. We should organize entrepreneurial conferences. If somebody has an established business, he cannot be convinced to pick a gun and join others in the bush. It is people who are idle sometimes and jobless and have nothing to lose that join war. If somebody has a business that is thriving, you cannot come telling them abandon this business and pick gonna enter into the bushes. So if I thought people were somehow settled to a greater extent and a greater population of those two regions were engaged into businesses, no reasonable, responsible businessman or who is having a job that can survive his family will abandon that business and that job and pick gun to enter into the bushes. So I think that the time has come that even if we are not restoring the plantation of the CDC or like the palm oil, there are places also in the
petty
CDC.
businesses. Yeah.
Yes, there are businesses that they have to establish to give the people a source of livelihood. Because I can tell that some people have also seen joining the boys in this in the bushes as a means of employment.
To make some money.
Yes, they have joined the boys in the bushes for employment.
Yeah.
Because it is a means of making income now. If somebody gets frustrated and doesn't know what to do, he will join. By the time you kidnap somebody, you can make your 10 million. Once you collect your 10 million francs, it's very, very simple. That's a fast way of making money. So if I thought the Englishman says the idle mind is the devil's workshop, if I thought we don't get people engaged and involved in other activities, another opportunity will be given to them. And that opportunity might not be good as compared to what we want to give them. So I think the government should start budgeting some amount of money to serve as stimulus in these regions to keep some people who have been idle for too long because of failure in their businesses, because we have heard of cases where military have gone to stores, break down the stores, carry people property, and those businesses have collapsed. Such a person may sit in the village there, get frustrated, idle, and then the next thing he has to do is to join. When the number of the boys are increasing, the boys in the bushes, they are increasing, then you'll be surprised to realize that the military in the forest is getting higher in number, increased in number.
Yeah, but many cocoa farmers have been rendered jobless because their farms have been seized. Yeah?
That's what I'm telling you.
They are now run by the boys.
Okay, now that the boys are occupied the farm of cocoa farmers, what the cocoa farmers in question, what has been done to
alleviate their
compensate them?
situation?
Because they too will sit there for quite a long time and then get frustrated.
Yes, but let's not also get it very wrong, because some of us or some persons claim that there is a government, people are fighting for a people. When you fight for a people and you render your people, you seize the farms from them. You yourself, how do you want them to survive? Because you're fighting for them. I remember the guy of this one leader in Lebanon, who caused a war with Israel, and when the people were attacked, he had so much money to assist the suffering mass. Yes, but should we not also ask the question? Because when I say how best can the suffering population of the Northwest and Southwest region, how can we assist them? Should the assistance only come from the government? The other side, can they not also see how they can reduce the suffering of the people?
Mr. Leo, nations prepare to go to war, and nations prepare expecting war. This is not a situation where a nation prepared to go to war.
Okay.
It was a spontaneous situation that came up, and then suddenly they were fighting. They say when pig gives birth to piglets and doesn't have what to eat, it will start eating the piglet.
Okay.
That's a very strong proverb, and I will leave it at that level for those who can interpret it.
That when pigs
give birth to piglets and they don't have food to eat, they will start eating the piglets.
Okay.
That's why you see, so you want to throw and insult him, others you ask if you are a pig. You give birth and you turn and consume.
Ok, oui, Madame Yembe, est-ce qu'il ne faut aussi pas regarder la situation des routes dans ces deux régions, parce que il faut que les routes soient passables pour les cas d'urgence. Il y a beaucoup de ponts qui ont été cassés et il y a des routes qui sont impraticables. Par exemple, de Babadjo à Bamenda, c'est aussi vraiment difficile. Est-ce qu'il ne faut pas regarder tous ces cas-là?
Bien entendu, hein, il faut regarder le cas des routes, pas seulement du côté du nord-ouest et du sud-ouest, hein, c'est dans tout le Cameroun. Donc, franchement, que ceux qui sont aux affaires, c'est-à-dire le RDPC qui est au gouvernement, qui nous dirige là, prennent très très au sérieux les problèmes des Camerounais. Parce que nous avons ce cas du nord-ouest et du sud-ouest qui a commencé par des revendications corporatistes, c'est-à-dire les enseignants et les avocats ont revendiqué et subitement ça a tourné en conflit armé en novembre 2017. Donc quand on va regarder même au niveau du Cameroun, on va se rendre compte que le Cameroun a très peu de routes bitumées par rapport à d'autres pays. Et cet état de choses, généralement, énerve la population. Parce que quand tu veux te rendre d'un point A à un point B et qu'il faille passer par la brousse, parce que la route est impraticable, comme on l'observe dans tout le Cameroun d'ailleurs, ou bien qu'il faille, c'est-à-dire arriver à un point, descendre de la voiture, traverser à pied pour aller de l'autre côté, ça devient très très embêtant et ça fait que les gens revendiquent ces choses. Donc pour que les cas du nord-ouest et du sud n'arrivent plus, il faudra que le gouvernement essaye c'est-à-dire de mettre la population à l'aise parce qu'il y a énormément d'argent dans ce pays, mais on se rend juste compte que cet argent est utilisé à d'autres fins avec autant de détournements dont l'unité se chiffre en milliards. Donc, il faut effectivement arranger les routes. Et nous, au PCRN, nous avons un projet de société au niveau sur l'axe 4. Nous allons construire des routes de 1000 km chaque année et ce qui permettra aux Camerounais de se déplacer parce que bitumé bien entendu et ça va créer des emplois ça va créer des emplois directs et indirects parce que en même temps quand les routes ne sont pas faites, quand la population ou alors ceux qui peuvent travailler n'ont pas de travail, ils sont facilement manipulables. Donc on peut facilement les prendre, les amener en brousse et ils gagnent de l'argent facilement comme le copanéliste l'a dit. Donc franchement, il faut que ceux qui nous gouvernent essayent de mettre l'accent sur le bien-être des populations comme nous le prenons au PCRN.
Okay, like I announced yesterday, I said that there are persons who are in prison who have called me. They're asking for assistance. We have some women in Tico who have also called me soliciting for assistance. Some persons have called from Bamenda that are soliciting for assistance, and I said I don't have enough money. I cannot attend to most of these worries. I said today I was going to appeal to you all who are watching the program to reach out. If you think that you would join me to reach out to them, they could be 10. Please do well to get to me, and let's see how we can help them. However modest, just join me in this adventure. I'm going to make this plea for 2 weeks, so that at the end of 2 weeks, whatever comes out, we can take it to them. Some persons are in prisons, others are in Tico and in Bamenda. Now, Dr. Michael Ndimancho, the people are already living in stress in these two regions, but constantly also under fear from being abducted, harassed, accused. Should they not also be spared from all of this?
They should, and that's the more reason why the Amber boys are supposed to be much more sympathetic to them, because the people live with them, and it appears the people respect them to the later, because when you see the organization of ghost towns and all those things, the people make sure that they respect. And actually, they do not respect because they want it. They respect out of fear. And already the fact that the people at least give them that respect, they are supposed to be protected. Sometimes I want to ask myself this rhetorical question. For who are these boys fighting? Are they fighting for the people, of the Northwest and Southwest region, or they are fighting for themselves? Because if you are fighting for these people, at least you'll be sympathetic. with them. You will actually have some feeling for them. Because I was in Bamenda a fortnight ago, and I saw what is going on. There are some zones that you don't go at a certain hour. You sit with friends, and maybe 8 p.m. is approaching. You see people are rushing back to their homes because they are afraid. The town becomes, like a graveyard. So I think that with this respect that the population is giving to these boys, the boys are supposed at least to turn, a sympathetic eye towards them and be able to see them as people who are in one way supporting them. The military, on the other hand, some of them are victims of circumstances, because there are actually some who are out to keep security, but unfortunately at one moment they go through some unfortunate situations that so I think like we have seen things that happen. Some people call it nature. We have talked about roads that are cut off. At one moment, if these boys are able to even cut off the air routes, they will do it, because for them it is like joy. They say that if the route is cut, because at one moment they were even cutting roads, bridges and whatsoever, and to them it was like victory to say that they are going to be in control of their territory. And that is why we keep on appealing to the government not to allow people misinterpret some natural happenings, like what happened on the Babaju-Bamenda road. Don't give room for people to misinterpret, because when you allow this kind of things to happen, people now start misinterpreting to say that you have abandoned this section of the people, and therefore nature has come to play its role. It is not nature, of course. It was a natural. It was not man-made or man-plant. It was something that was natural, and therefore we're asking these boys to be able to protect the people with whom they live. Although you see what happened it was in the southwest, where women and children, people were shot across close range, because the military think that the boys are living with them. And I don't know why the military should be this. I think that the best way you catch a terrorist, because they call them terrorists, bring them to a rehabilitation center. You should be able to re-educate the person you call a terrorist. I ask myself, how do you go and kill somebody kilometers away? You lift the person, bring the person to town, expose the person, and then let the world see that you are you hunting? Is it an elephant you caught? I think that the military should be able to exercise some kinds of, professionalism. Because you don't want to catch a boy and then lift him and come and expose him for people to view as if it is an elephant you caught. So this makes people to think that there is something about this war that people do not understand. Because the military is supposed to be remorseful that you have killed somebody. Yes, according to the professional ethics, you should be more remorseful that a life is lost. So, but if you rejoice over killing a single soul, what do you expect these boys who are not even trained to do? They themselves will do the same, because they copy from you. Because we say, if gold should rust, what will iron do? We expect that you should show some professionalism, so that we should copy from you. You catch somebody, a terrorist or whatsoever, bring the person. You should be able to rehabilitate the person, let the person see reason to know that what he did was not the right thing. It's just like you see these boys that are being brought to the DDR. Of course, it is a good thing that they are doing, but let them be able to educate the boys, because when they keep on rioting again, they kind of educate the people who are still in the bushes to think that coming out and dropping their weapons is not the right thing for them to do. I think that it should totally be taken care of. And the boys too in the bushes for over 4 years today, when this crisis will be ending, and we pray so that it ends soon, and they will come out, it will be another problem, because you are in the bush, you are not doing anything, you are not trained in anything. When you come out, you find other people who have been advancing. It will still be another kind of grudge that you are going to bear because you have been in the bush. So I think there is high time all of us have an interest that this thing should end, and end soon.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Your today debate is good, but putting money for CDC will work profit, because the workers has made up their minds to work. The effectiveness of work to resume properly in CDC, the old salary and wages must be paid, and revamping of CDC with government putting in money will work. The workers are ready to work. Money puts that it is because of money that is delaying the work. Fred Fang, writing from the southwest region there. Good evening to you. This one says, Mr. Liu, don't know thieves from other regions have invaded the northwest and southwest regions and are rampantly kidnapping the people. It is now fertile ground for thieves. Ngala is writing from Bamenda. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I want to congratulate what Mr. Valentine has just said. He's really talking with wisdom. Mr. Brian writing from Douala here. This one says, the Amber boys are only the product of the government's arrogance. I'm applying to Mr. Abia that he should please put an end to the war against the people. God have mercy on Cameroon. Joseph is also writing from Bomenda. This one says, I would be glad if you invite some politicians to talk on what is happening, especially concerning decentralization. Now that regional councils have been set up, where is the special status for the northwest and southwest regions? Okay. I am Innocent Baruzil from Bonaberi Douala. Please, talking about schools, I was in Moyoka last week and tried to talk about the importance of education to one of my friends. He said I shouldn't make the second ear to hear. He said school is good, even the restoration forces are aware of it. Okay. Good evening to you. Please don't send very long messages. There's so many, so I will not be able to read all of them. Good evening, Sir Leo. Kudos to the entire brain boxes on Prime R today. During the Bakassi crisis, the government relocated the schools within the area to Ikondo Titi, Mundemba, and other safer zones. The government can still do same to the present context. Holy Man, writing from Kumba. Good evening to you, Holy Man. This one is, I'm Shafi Augustine watching from Kumbu, Kitiwum. Mr. Liu, your program is always good. Okay. Thank you very much. This one says, thanks. This one says, thanks. Dual Anglophones are the ones stopping schools, not the government. Okay. John says, I'm writing from the southwest. Okay. Cool Julius from Limbe says, good evening all. The best way to end the war, even if those fighting do not reach such areas mentioned, they could still get in a cross fire on their way to school or back from school. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and everybody who is present today in the house. Please, I really like the program today, and please help me tell Senior Barrister Ashu that so many people like his contribution on this platform, but he's still long to come. Please let him be frequent coming. I'm Wesley writing from Yaoundé. I hope that when he calls, he will answer. Hello, Mr. Leo. Good topic. I don't understand why you are being unreasonable persons. Okay, on the platform. Ngiando is writing from Mancon Town in that is in Bamenda. Hello, Mr. Leo. Good evening, please. Well, okay. Now, but I want us to look at the situation of young girls, especially from the southwest and northwest regions. We have met many of them in Douala working. We have heard of stories of many of them also working in Yaoundé, but some in other places they are paid 10,000, 15,000 francs a month, and to survive in a town like Douala, you need to do other things to be able to meet up. Don't you also think that something could have been organized to prepare these girls, either teaching them alternative means of surviving in zones like this?
This is heart-saddening to hear this Leo talking about some of our sisters who have migrated in due course of this crisis, and
but you are not getting this from me. At least you are in Douala, you meet them every day.
I met just a handful of them. It's true, actually I haven't been to most of their lodging grounds, but it's not worth appreciating hearing them why should they first of all be earning this amount of money, 10,000 francs, to sustain a living? And then it's true.
Many don't even have the opportunity to work.
Yeah, they don't have the opportunity, but strongly speaking, I've been in Douala for 20 years today or more. And as you see me looking in this attire, when I left Bamenda, landed in Douala, this was my own bush falling. And I never had the intention even to move out of this city, but every blessed morning you will see me move out at 7 a.m. and as I move from one company to the other, depositing application files, searching for job. Many people don't understand the first thing the first job you get is by searching a job. That's the first job you have.
But Mr. Mungwa,
yes.
Let us talk of the situation of girls. You have children.
Of course,
you have children who left from 2, from 3, from 4, who cannot go to school because they don't have the means, but they need to survive. Where should they work?
Yeah, I strongly believe that if you are talking about girls of from 2, from 3, this is an exceptional category of girls, which I think they shouldn't be here on their own. They are not yet, they still at the tender age where they are supposed to be accommodated and hosted by some parents, by some guardians.
Mr. Ngwa, do you know there are people who are sleeping around Bunaberi, around there? Many persons don't even have where to sleep. Have you been to, there's a chief in Makepe, Misoke, who is hosting more than
300.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. How do you cope there?
Yes, I'm aware about that fact, but not talking about teenage girls of from 2, from 3. How old are we talking about here? We're talking about 13, 14 years old.
Did you hear of the story of children that were taken in Kumba? Little boys and girls, many of them. I'm sure 20-something of them taken from one village in the southwest region. What are you talking about?
Yes, you talk about the students, right? I guess.
To say that there are many persons who are just struggling to survive from these areas.
Yes, it's true. So far, we don't need to deliberate much. We should not be apportioning blames. We should rather, this is an information you are passing, and we should be looking for a way forward, how to create a center or a social milieu where we can accommodate and assist so these street children who have fled from the southwest and northwest regions, in order to give them the surviving status. They have the right. They are not the authors of the crisis. They are just ignorant children who are suffering from the outbreak of this crisis. So I'm suggesting that we can census and create a platform to get some of these stranded kids, bring them forth, and once we census and give, we will think we're going to get a way forward to see how we can give them that financial accommodating support.
Okay.
Yes.
Financial support. Now, please, when you have such programs, invite very intelligent people to come on it. The government should subsidize mission schools if they love the people. D4 is writing from Latvia. Good evening to you, D4. Hi, it's Karin from Boya. Dialogue is the only way out. It's very clear that politics, government, and military have failed. The government authorities do not want to accept the truth, address the problem, and it's killing. Okay. Good evening to you, Karin, writing from Boya. Hello, Leo. It's Stefan Tadaha in Babaju. I think everyone, no matter who you are and where you are, should simply contribute to the resolution of this crisis. I thank God's intervention is the best. I think God's intervention is the best. Thus, everything is going wrong in this country. Every sector is rotten, and only God's intervention is the best solution. Okay, courage to you, bro, for the day's topic. Thank you very much. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Your program is very good and educating. Mr. Ashu should be coming every day. Please, it's Emmanuel writing from Amanda. I hope he gets what you guys are saying, because tomorrow I'll surely call him. He will say, let the government end the senseless war and we build our homes and mourn our loved ones. We don't need assistance. We are Anglophones. Okay. Roland is writing from Tobin in Kumbo. Good evening to you. Principal, you're telling me you're in Boya. Good evening to you. I'm glad to know. I hope we meet up before you go back to ground zero. Now, I want us to look at our second topic for tonight, except someone has something to say, very important, as a way that can help our brothers and sisters, especially in rebuilding their minds, building their morals.
Leo, in answer to the problem you just raised, to the call you made, I want to say that the best gift to give to somebody who is deprived of his freedom, who is locked up, is to give him freedom. And in that regard, I will offer my own personal assistance to all those who are locked up in the prison in Douala. All victims of the Anglophone crisis locked up in the prisons in Douala. I'm giving you the first 10 who will come to me. I give them free legal defense.
Okay.
That's my own contribution to them. So I'll defend the first 10 free of charge.
Okay.
You can give them my number to get to me.
Okay, so if you have somebody who is locked up at in Douala here in connection with the ongoing crisis, please just call me after the program. I'll give you Senior Barrister's number. It says the first 10 persons that are going to contact him, he will give free legal services. Apostle Ambe, Valentine, Ngwa, people need our support. They need the support of everybody.
Yes, actually, it's a time for us to dip our hands into our purses and make sure we support those who are locked up in prison. Most of them went there without even knowing the reasons why they went there. Under the tension of that particular crisis, some of them were caught up in 2016, 2017. I even have a young man that New Bell called Zoom Mike. He's been there for long. I think I'll talk to Barrister Ashu to step into his case for the privilege being on this platform with him today. And we call on Cameroonians to make sure that we don't allow our people to rot in jail and be frustrated, because a lot of things are taking place in prison yards in Cameroon.
Okay, we are going to take a short break. Yeah.
I'm equally with regard to the clarion call as well. I just want to throw more light, and I'm calling on our hierarchy elected officials who are actually sitting in session, parliamentary session, that they should, there are two primordial factors which they need to review. I'm talking about the ceasefire once more. We have been debating, we need to put an end to this crisis. They should review this and take it serious. And secondly, road infrastructure is one of the factors that brings development in all sectors in an economy, that strengthens the links of the growth of every economy. So these are factors, and you see the high rates of accident, mortal rates which are being committed in our roads is due to the road infrastructures which are trust. We don't even have, when we talk about auto road, Cameroon cannot boast of one auto road, which is so bad.
Okay.
Yes.
I hope they will not sanction you, eh?
Oh no.
We keep talking about the boys who are, who need assistance. I think we should also talk to the government to use reasoning, because one thing I've realized is that the government tends to behave like the boys with their justice in the bushes, because when you come report a case, the military doesn't take the chance or to take the pains to investigate, to know whether that report they have given about this particular person is true or wrong. I have a friend who was recently taken to Yaoundé, and she is a woman. She's in Kondengi now, just because somebody went and reported that she's sponsoring the Ambe boys. Just that. This is somebody who is very innocent. The person who just came even from abroad. She wasn't even not even here. Somebody went and reported that, and then immediately they sent the military. They came and circled the house. They took directly to Yaoundé. So I think the government will need to take its own responsibility Because if the boys could use jungle justice and use, their foolishness to judge, the government that we know that is supposed to draw straight lines. They are not supposed to make us have impression that they are dealing on speculations. So I think the government will need to, and the people in a circle, they should be able to enact laws. The last time I said this issue of the Angfung crisis will not be discussed in the parliament, and people. So we just hope that something will be done this time around.
Okay, we are. Sauf si vous avez aussi quelque chose à dire. Okay, we are going to take a short break. When we come back, we talk about our second topic for tonight. Welcome back. You're watching Prime on my media Prime. We now are going to all answer the question as to whether the COVID-19 vaccine should be made compulsory in Cameroon. We'll start with you, Yembe. Est-ce qu'il faut faire une loi pour rendre obligatoire que chaque Camerounais prenne le vaccin du Covid?
Déjà, ce que je vais dire, c'est que les Camerounais devraient se mettre aux mesures barrières puisqu'il y a une nouvelle vague de la Covid qui est là. Donc, il faut que les Camerounais reviennent aux mesures barrières. Maintenant, est-ce qu'il faut faire une loi pour exiger, pour rendre le vaccin obligatoire? Nous ne pensons pas qu'il faille rendre le vaccin obligatoire. Il faut juste mettre le vaccin sur le marché et nous donner les garanties que ce vaccin ne va pas venir détruire notre organisme et faire en sorte que ceux qui veulent se vacciner se vaccinent et ceux qui croient à la médecine, à la pharmacopée africaine continuent à se traiter avec nos médicaments traditionnels. Parce que là, rendre le vaccin obligatoire, on a l'impression qu'il y a quelque chose qui se cache derrière cette histoire de vaccin. Avec toutes les histoires qu'on a suivies, tout ce qu'on a lu sur le net, des scientifiques qu'on a suivis, la sortie qu'aurait faite la femme de Bill Gates qui disait que en fait il y a une politique de réduction de la population mondiale, surtout africaine, hein. Donc rendre ce vaccin obligatoire serait comme si le gouvernement obéit à une certaine je vais dire, hein, c'est un ordre qui vient des pays occidentaux, qui vient des industries pharmaceutiques, qui vient peut-être du nouvel ordre mondial. Nous pensons au PCRN qu'il faille aussi chercher du côté de notre pharmacopée. On a d'ailleurs vu les effets, on a d'ailleurs vu le résultat du médicament de Monseigneur Cléda. Ceux qui sont allés voir Monseigneur Cléda quand ils avaient été testés positifs ont tous guéri. Pourquoi ne pas chercher du côté de nos naturopathes? Pourquoi vouloir juste faire une loi? Déjà, j'ai vu ce projet de loi, j'ai pas complètement lu ce qui est écrit dessus. Pourquoi vouloir automatiquement faire une loi pour rendre le vaccin obligatoire? Là, il faut se poser des questions et on voit effectivement ce vaccin causer certains dégâts dans les pays où les gens se sont vaccinés. Donc, le rendre obligatoire au Cameroun, nous ne trouvons pas l'opportunité. Il faut plutôt communiquer. Il faut beaucoup communiquer, dire aux gens qu'il y a la Covid qui est là et qu'ils se mettent aux mesures barrières. Okay. Déjà, nous avons même bien combattu la première vague de ce vaccin, de cette maladie.
Senior Barrister, you are a political leader. What is the position of your party with respect to the vaccine?
Thank you, Mr. Leo. The first thing that comes to mind is to ask ourselves whether COVID-19 is dangerous. Is it dangerous? Is it deadly? Well, we'll all answer those two questions in the affirmative. COVID-19 is dangerous and deadly. There is no question about that. Now, we all know from childhood, in fact, nobody will teach us this one. We know from childhood that there is a protocol. There is a World Health Organization protocol for vaccines. We've never seen this before in history. We know that for a vaccine to be put in the market, it takes a period of at least 8 years. This is the first time we see people coming up with a vaccine in less than a year. There are others who have come up with a vaccine in less than 6 months. These vaccines have not been tested anywhere, not even on pigs. And they are being marketed to be used on humans. So, as a politician, you ask me, what is my take? Well, I've discussed this with some militants, and we are very, very cautious because a vaccine that has not been tested anywhere, and which is said, if what the American observers say is true, the vaccines that are in the market don't immunize. If you are injected with this vaccine, you are not immune. There is no guarantee that you will not be attacked by coronavirus. There is no guarantee. It is not curative. If you have the coronavirus and they inject you with the vaccine, you will not get well. So I start asking myself, what is the use of such a thing? If it cannot cure you from the disease, and if it cannot prevent the disease from attacking you, why do you take the vaccine? Of what use it is? Is it to you? So I think that before any person starts fretting about giving vaccines to people or not, let us look at the importance of the vaccine. Of what use is this vaccine going to be to Cameroonians? Is it going to stop Cameroonians from being attacked by coronavirus? What is the answer? Is it a yes or a no? Is this vaccine going to treat those who are already sick? Is it a yes or a no? If the answers in both cases turns out to be a no, then I don't see the reason for these people to keep filling our ears with unnecessary rhetoric.
Yeah, but
we would welcome a vaccine that will give us the classical qualities of a vaccine.
Yeah, but
once you are vaccinated, sir, a vaccine is supposed to immunize you against the disease.
Yeah, but you want a classical
we want
vaccine.
A vaccine that will give us the classical advantages
so
of a vaccine.
Why don't you produce one?
Why should I not produce one?
You want.
I'm a politician. We have our own scientific structures here. These structures have not tested any of these vaccines to tell us to determine whether these vaccines they are bringing answer this scientific test or not.
Okay.
And we are being asked to consume what has not been locally tested.
No, but because I said this last time here in this program when we were discussing about COVID-19, and I said, why not create a committee that will serve as a body that will test whatever the quality of what is brought into Cameroon to ascertain that it's not going to cause any health hazard on its yeah, but why don't you people as political parties, why don't you also put pressure on the government to give guarantees on whatever is going to be injected on Cameroonians?
Thank you, Mr. Leo. It was said that Cameroon was opting for the British vaccine produced by AstraZeneca. We have at least 4 or 5 European countries that suspended the use of that vaccine because it was causing blood clotting in people. I was surprised to hear our Minister of Health say, while it is causing havoc elsewhere, it has not been proven in Africa that it's causing anything. Was it not better for that Minister of Health? He's supposed to be to guarantee our health. Was it not better for him to take this vaccine, to cancel that contract first of all, because 5 countries suspending?
Yeah, but you people should take them to task now.
We are coming to it, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to ask a question that who do these people in Europe think they are? Who do they think they are? Are they some super beings that everything that comes from them should just be accepted cheaply? When Madagascar came out there with the organics, they refused the field distribution of that organic because they said it has not gone through a clinical test. Mr. Leo, if a drug came from Africa and that drug had to go through a clinical test to prove its authenticity or its capacity, how can they send us vaccines? Whether it's virus or vaccine, how can they send us vaccines that have not been proven? As a matter of fact, those vaccines have very bad testimonies already in areas that they have been tested. Secondly, according to the medical standard of the WHO, every vaccine has to go through test at least 8 times. This vaccine must be proven 8 times. Poliomyelitis was tested 8 solid times, yet it came to Africa and paralyzed some children. Then you tell us that a vaccine came out within the space of 14 months. They have not even gone through the standard procedure of the WHO. Now they want to start selling or sending the vaccine to the continent Africa, after which they have tested those vaccines on a few persons and we had very derogatory results. I'm wondering if at all there is some other thing attached to the acceptance of this vaccine, or at all we are accepting it because we actually need it.
Don't you also understand that the world is faced with a major crisis? The rapidity with which COVID has killed people, it also requires an emergency response now.
A flu occurred in 1878, similar to this COVID-19. No emergency vaccine came from anywhere. This is not the first. They shouldn't prove to us as if COVID-19 is the first damaging virus that has ever emanated. When HIV came, the results were very, very bad. But they took their time for years and there was no vaccine. Measles came. Measles kills faster than COVID-19.
And only 1 million.
Malaria is killing at least 1,000 children in Africa in an hour. That is the statistics of WHO. It kills at least 4,000 children in Africa per hour. Ebola came. Why did they not suddenly create this thing? I have said it and I'm still saying it. Is some pharmaceutical companies in Europe and America who have decided to sell their vaccines and make much money, and they are using the WHO as a platform to sell their evil ideology. The vaccine being obligatory to Cameroonians, I think that people's health condition, every individual has that sovereign right over your body. There are things you cannot force into my system. It shouldn't become a general law in the nation. It should be a matter of choice. If you intend to take it, yes, because I think as a citizen of this country, there are some rights I have. The government doesn't own me. The government doesn't own me. There are rights I have in this country as a citizen. Government doesn't tell me what I eat. They have certain rules on me. They don't own me. They don't tell me what I eat. They don't tell me when to bathe. And when I'm sick, it is not the government that tells me to go to the hospital. I can either take traditional herbs and get well or choose to go to the hospital. That is a decision that I own as a basic citizen, a citizen of this country. The government is protecting me but not telling me what to consume. So the idea of making this particular vaccine obligatory in the country, to me, I don't buy the idea. If I choose to die, it's my choice by not taking the vaccine, because I must not die only through COVID-19. Accidents kill people. Some people commit suicide. Others drink poison and die. Why must I be compelled to take COVID-19 vaccine? So it is a matter of choice. Let us leave it at the level of choice. What remunerations have been paid to the children who suffered casualties for taking the polio vaccine? Because I know of children who were paralyzed as a result of taking the polio vaccine. So let us be very, very sensitive when it comes to the issue of managing the health of people. In addition to that, we have had people in this country whose drugs have treated COVID-19. Why should I be rushing after a vaccine when a drug has proved its potency in this country?
Okay. Good evening to you, my parents in the studio. I'm so happy hearing from you all this evening. I love the program so much. Mabel, writing from Kumbo in Ambe. Good evening to you too. Mabel, sir, you are a lawyer and not a scientist. Focus on your political field. Vaccines should not be mandatory but advisable. Once vaccinated, you have a higher chance of surviving if affected by COVID-19. We must not use only AstraZeneca. We have Pfizer. Pressure the government to change vaccine choice. It's ignorance that will kill us before the COVID-19. Ndi4 is writing from Latvia. Good evening to you, Ndi4. This one says, to support what Apostle Ambe said, the French, following their untimely exit from Guinea-Conakry in 1958, destroyed everything. James is writing from Bamenda. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Have you watched this video about vaccines? I'm sure I've seen many of them. Greetings evening once more. Okay. Now, what do you think should be done? People should be given the latitude to accept or refuse when time comes?
Salio, I think I would like to differ with my co-panelists here because what is the function of a vaccine?
Mm-hmm.
A vaccine strengthens the immune system. And if we take that simple definition, then there is no way in which we should escape from the COVID-19 vaccination. I would like to take some few examples. We have 3 vaccines that have, or at least the World Health Organization has recognized for now. We have Pfizer, we have AstraZeneca, and we have Moderna. Now, there is an issue of AstraZeneca that had some problems, and because of some 2 British that took, and then since that AstraZeneca has what they call polyethylene glycol, which of course it is in almost every medicine, and since they had some allergies, I mean that happened, and it was halted. It doesn't mean that it had something in it that causes, because we have had a lot of social media stuff where people say it causes infidelity, instead acts kills people. I mean, people have said there's a lot of issues on social media about it. I think that a vaccine should be taken because
millions of persons have been
taken and they're fine. Yeah. I think that it is we are safer taking the vaccines than remaining and dying of the COVID-19. Let me explain myself, because you see, we have in the world, so Apostle Ambe talked about, yes, it takes 8 years to, and that is true. And we have been named Ebola and all the other issues. Remember that those were viruses that were particular to some country. We are in the world, we are faced with a pandemic that has touched the whole world. And the scientists have come together. The whole world is concerned. Now, what has happened is, of course, HIV, I mean, it's not an issue of Europe and America. HIV is an issue of Africa. It is there, but you know of HIV pronounced in Africa. Now, let me say, I want to quote the Dr. Jesus, which is the World Health Organization President Tedros, who said, we have reached a time, this time around, where we have to replace fear by facts. Now the issue is that many people are much more afraid than they can produce the facts about what they are talking about. You just say this vaccine can kill, this vaccine causes this, but you don't have any proof to say that this is what it causes. Secondly, he said this is the time.
A vaccine that has been suspended by some countries in Europe.
It was suspended and not voted.
Yeah,
it
but
was they have resumed the admission. We have reached a level whereby we have to replace rumors by reality. We have reached a level whereby we have to reduce stigma by rationality. We shouldn't have to create fear, because we have realized that many people in America, in Europe, are taking these very vaccines. Why do we come to think that it is a problem of Africa, that if the vaccine comes to Africa, it is going to kill? If Europe and America wanted to reduce the population of Africa, I don't think that it's only through this vaccine that they will do that. There are a lot of things that we don't produce, and they could send that thing through it. So I think the safer line for all of us, the safer line, the World Health Organization has actually prescribed. For those who are below 16, yes, they don't very much advise that they take the vaccine, because they have, from the research, they have realized that people below 16 are not really, the virus doesn't really develop as such. And people with particular allergies, I mean, they have also advised that they may not take because it can complicate their situation. But this advice is for all of us, that the lesser sin or the lesser evil, the safer way is to take the virus, to take the vaccine, than to stay not to take it, because you will be killed faster if you don't take the vaccine than if you take the vaccine. Why? The issue is that, so I mean, I still want to quote Apostle Ambe, who said he owns his life. You own your life, but know that what happens to you concerning this coronavirus affects your next neighbor, affects your family, affects your children, affects your wife, affects their neighbors, affects the country. Because if you don't take the vaccine and you contaminate, you contaminate, what happens is you transmit to the other person. So in this case, you do not own your life. Your life is owned by the country that has the responsibility to protect everybody, to protect all the citizens. Therefore, if the parliament vote and then they have deemed it necessary, because the only other option is that you should go, do what we call, you stay in your home, what we call confinement. But are we in a country whereby in confinement you are provided food, you are provided health care? The issue is that even if you are in confinement, you will still go out. And therefore, the safer way, and of course, people have taken America, and they fear that because there's a first dose of the vaccine, there's a second dose. They fear that by July, many people in many states will be moving freely if everybody takes the vaccine. I think we should take the safer line and accept that we should be freer by taking it than remain in rumors, the internet rumors, the social media rumors that people have alleged about the dangerous effect of the vaccine more than they can prove.
Okay.
The world is now a global world. The world is now concerted, and that is the good thing about the good thing about coronavirus. And I keep on saying it. The coronavirus has come to let us know how together we can be able to concert, how we can be able to synergize our action and come out with a result in few months or years. Now you see, the vaccine has an exploratory period. It has a preclinical period. It has a testing period. I mean, it has stages that it passes. And this vaccine, because the world came together and we're able to pass. I mean,
okay.
Now I want to finish by talking about
I've spoken now.
Well, I'm talking about what is developed in Africa, because some countries in Africa have developed the vaccine, but they do not want to share with the world. They refuse to share. They think that is something only reserved to them.
No, but
Madagascar refused to share with the world. They refused. They said, I remember they said they don't want to leak their secret to the other countries, and they remain with them. What is happening to Madagascar today? People are falling down and dying like mushrooms.
It means, good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm Aaron from Bantum. 3 thanks for the program. When someone is sick, he or she has the right to decide whether to take the treatment or not. Those supporting people to take should take it first. Okay, let the ministers and parliamentarians and senators be vaccinated first, then we may accept. Okay. Good evening, sir. Please read my message, please, for Senior Barrister Ashu's Emmanuel's number. I had my cousin by name Yvonne Cho in Kondengi. Please, I want him to help me, Mr. Augustine from Bamenda. Please write me on, if you need his number, just write me on WhatsApp. I'll send you his number. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm a fly boy from Bamenda. I love the program that is going on. The COVID-19 vaccine be made compulsory in Cameroon. I will like to say that the vaccine should not be compulsory. Okay. Good evening, sir. Some people are just talking as if they are Phoenix. They were into the government. I don't understand what you're saying. Good evening, Mr. Liu. It's a matter of choice, okay? Good evening to you all in the studio. We are very happy to hear from you people. It's popular. I'm writing from Kumba. Good evening to you. Good evening to you, Didi Banderas of Banga School. Special greetings to you this evening. Good evening, Mr. Liu. There is one thing that confused me totally. It is written on this vaccine that not to be used in USA and Europe. Why? Okay, you've seen it. I've not seen it. I don't know where it's coming from. But what do you think about it? Should people not also weigh the options, like he's saying, and for the general interest of the general interest overweighs the individual interest now?
Yeah, it's very, very important. This is actually a pandemic which have hit the whole world. I think it's even more alarming than HIV, which broke out in 1992. And if you look at the statistics today, you know, the way HIV was actually promoted and sensitized. If you look at the statistics of the number of deaths now who have suffered from HIV, you have just approximately 1.2 million and 39 million who are actually infected, and preventive drugs have been taken. But what puzzles me is they can dictate, there's a machinery we can dictate the values and control if the barrier is getting low or has disappeared. But then the contradiction about the whole thing is no machine has been established to determine if this barrier has completely vanished in your system.
Are you talking of
I'm talking about HIV.
No,
and then coming back on COVID,
now.
eventually, COVID so far, it's actually a pandemic which actually is scaring, and I think everybody living has the hope to live the next day, irrespective of the preaching. We are supposed to respect the barrier measures which are being put in place. Yes, we are supposed to respect. I think Africa first, in all perspective or all ranks, links, Africans are being known as very high scholars in the world. And what puzzles me is today, I don't know what our medical scientists in Africa, none have been unable to come up with. Why should we depend only on the European prescription or description of the vaccine? Are we not strong enough with our intellectuals to have come up with something which can be recommended as well? I think you have the series of questions, but I don't want to dispute or talk much about COVID-19. I think preventive measures should be respected. It is very, very important.
Oui, s'il faut l'administrer comme le disent les autres, est-ce qu'il faut que ça commence? On a vu dans d'autres pays, aux États-Unis, c'est le président et la vice-présidente et les autres qui ont commencé à prendre. En Israël, on a aussi vu le premier ministre le prendre. Et en France, on a vu le président Macron et ailleurs. Est-ce qu'il faut aussi commencer par, pour convaincre la population, est-ce qu'il faut commencer par à la présidence, au Sénat et puis comme ça?
Effectivement, comme ce vaccin est très très controversé au niveau du Cameroun, moi je pense que pour convaincre effectivement la population que ce vaccin est sans effet secondaire, il faut, comme on l'a dit dans les réseaux sociaux, j'ai lu, il faut que les élus les élus du peuple prennent en premier ces vaccins. Donc on aura le président de la République, on aura les sénateurs, on aura les députés, on aura les ministres, bien entendu, on aura les conseillers municipaux et les maires, les conseillers régionaux. Il faut que ces élus-là qui représentent le peuple prennent ce vaccin en premier, et lorsque le peuple aura vu que effectivement ce vaccin est sans effet secondaire, il n'aura plus peur de le prendre, et à ce moment précis,
si tout le monde prend ça et un mois après ils sont bien ici, ils mangent sans masque et tout ça, oui.
Oui, tout le monde ne peut pas prendre. Pour que ce vaccin marche, comme j'ai dit, les gens que j'ai cités là, les élus du peuple là, pardon? Voilà. Bon, que les élus du peuple prennent ce vaccin en premier. Un mois après, nous autres, nous pourrons aussi prendre ce vaccin parce qu'il est très controversé, il faut le dire.
Yeah, but if some people think that we shouldn't take the vaccine, is there an alternative to this menace that is presented to Cameroon, Africa, and the world, COVID?
Yes, Mr. Liu. You see, there was some confusion being set in the air when I listen to some panelists. We are not saying that social media fear should be transferred to Cameroon. We are saying that before the government asks people to take that vaccine, they should make sure that it is safe. They should make sure that it is purposeful. I mean, there is no need for you to ask me to take a vaccine if you know that after taking it, I'm not going to be immunized. It should be useful to my body.
Yeah, but
there is no need.
But when she says they should lead by example,
yes,
take it, yes.
Yes, I don't want them to die. If the vaccine is safe, then it will not kill any of them. We remember there was a general in Equatorial Guinea who took the vaccine and died. We remember that. So nobody has ever denied that fact, which came up. The man's picture was there. They say he took the vaccine and died.
Was it Ole?
No, I am coming close to Cameroon. A general from Equatorial Guinea.
Yes, but
so are you sure that
excuse
me, sir? Are you sure that if our president, the parliamentarians, senators, ministers take that vaccine, none of them will die? Please, the vaccine has caught blood.
So, your barrister, I am ready to take that vaccine.
Time is running out.
As one of the elected officials.
Take your vaccine. In answer to your question, I don't see the reason for any vaccine when you have a cure.
Yeah, but what's the alternative?
I don't see the reason for any vaccine when you have a cure.
Okay.
So many people have come up here in this country with cures. I remember what they call him again. We received him here in the studios with his
Dr. Fru.
Dr. Fru. I took his treatment. I took it. I took that treatment. He was selling what 10,000. I bought it, and believe you me, if any person has COVID and takes that thing, I'm not sure that thing will survive. I'm not sure which social media. I say I bought it. Oh, just like
what proved that vaccine?
Cleda's own is not proven. No, please, we should be serious.
So what gave you the certainty and assurance to take the vaccine?
I told you I took it.
Yeah, what gave you the certainty and assurance?
Why do you think Dr. Fru's medicine will not work, but COVID-19 vaccine will work?
I said
what is wrong with you?
Yeah, what convinced you?
Wrong with your mind?
What convinced you in taking? What convinced you in taking?
What is wrong with your mental?
Why should I take a vaccine when I know there are cures around? Why?
Okay.
Why? If I'm sick, I will have something to cure me.
So you are saying that the alternative is
the cure.
Is the cure.
The cure which we have available here.
Okay.
Cleda is giving you free of charge.
Okay.
A bird in hand.
I will not take it.
Englishman say what two in the bush. Mr. Leo, we have taken Cleda's drug here and we've gotten testimonies. We've taken Dr. Fru's drugs and we've gotten testimonies. Why should I be looking for a bird in the bush when I have a bird in hand?
No, the vaccine is here already.
That what?
The vaccine is
the here. Bush concept is not that it is far. I have not proven it. What I have in hand is what I have tested. A bird in hand in this concept is not that the vaccine is yet to come to Cameroon. A bird in hand means I have proven the local drugs working, than the vaccine I'm yet to ascertain.
Okay. We have to end here at this juncture. I just want to remind us that I'm launching a fund drive to assist some prisoners and some IDPs in Tiku and some persons who are calling from Bamenda. I can't do it myself. I don't have money to attend to them, so I'm pleading with you. If you think that you can join me in this, please do call me and let us put our hands together to reach out to these mothers out there. We want to say thank you to you, Senior Barrister, for coming.
You're welcome, Mr. Leo. My offer was for prisoners in the Douala New Bell prison.
Okay. Because
going to Kondengi will require traveling out of Douala and paying hotel bills. That will be expensive. Please, those who are in Douala New Bell prison.
Okay. So if you have somebody at the New Bell prison who is in difficulty, just get to me. At the end of the program, I'll send you Senior Barrister's number. Thank you very much for that. Also, thank you for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Leo. It's always a joy to be here. Thank you, Cameroonians, for giving us your ears and following Prime Hour. God bless you all.
Thank you.
Oui, merci de m'avoir reçu sur votre plateau et d'avoir partagé avec ces éminents panélistes. J'espère revenir très bientôt. C'était mon premier passage. Ça ira.
Merci d'être passé par ici. Thank you for coming too, Doctor.
Thanks, Mr. Leo. And just to conclude by saying that let us understand that 80% of those who have coronavirus get cured without any drugs. So if people go and play the ping pong on people and they think that they get cured, I think we should have to have a rethink about that. And that science is important. Science is question. Science is a process, and then you are able to ascertain and to test to know that you have cured somebody or not. You don't come and give somebody a bitter leaf water, and then tomorrow you say you cured the person.
Mr. Ngwa, thank you for coming.
It's my pleasure being here again on this platform, and thanks to televiewers as well with their enormous contributions. And so far, equally, I want to direct much appreciation and thanks to all the separatist fighters who have come to realize that they were misled and they dropped their guns. They have come out from the bushes, and I'm appealing for those who are still there to be able to come to their right thinking senses and also make sure they contribute to the end of this crisis.
We are talking about a vaccine. We are talking about.
Well, also, of course, I'm appealing on them because some of them who are they are sick. They are sick, and they deserve these vaccines. They need to come off the bushes so that you'll be part of us and belong to where they can benefit from these vaccines. Of course.
Mr. Ngwa, thank you, Eli, thank you to you, Desmond. Thank you to you guys at the broadcasting. Not forgetting you, Tambe Brian. It's been a funny one here today. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.